Welcome to this video on the history of the Cuban peso. We will explore how this currency has evolved from 1914 through a century of economic change. Here is the profile of the Cuban peso, known locally as the Moneda Nacional. It is regulated by the Central Bank of Cuba and uses the code CU. The era of parity began in 1914, when the national peso was established. These early coins were produced by the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia at a 1-to-1 ratio with the dollar. In the 1960s, a socialist pivot occurred. Following the U.S. embargo, the peso lost its dollar peg, was linked to the Soviet ruble, and new banknotes were printed in Czechoslovakia. Following the Soviet collapse in 1991, Cuba faced the special period. By 1993, the peso's value had plummeted, leading the government to make the U.S. dollar legal tender. From 1994 to 2020, Cuba operated a dual economy. The CUP was used by citizens for local goods, while the CUC, pegged to the U.S. dollar, was used for trade and imports. During the 1980s, the state introduced tourist tokens called INTUR coins. These allowed the government to capture foreign exchange without allowing tourists to use the national currency. On January 1, 2021, known as Day Zero, the government abolished the CUC and the dual currency system, making the CUP the sole legal tender. The economy has since faced a severe inflation crisis. This chart shows the dramatic rise in the black market value of the U.S. dollar in Cuban pesos since 2021. Modern coinage reflects both history and ideology. This 2017 5 peso coin features Antonio Maceo and the national slogan, Patria o Muerte. Between 1934 and 1949, silver certificates were issued. These notes highlight the deep economic ties Cuba maintained with the United States during that period. Modern banknotes serve as ideological canvases. They prominently feature national figures like José Martí, Che Guevara, and Antonio Maceo. To combat ongoing inflation, the central bank introduced higher denomination notes in March 2026, featuring Mariana Grajales and Celia Sanchez. Today, two exchange rates exist. The gap between the state-managed rate and the street, or black market rate, continues to define daily life for Cuban citizens. Ultimately, the Cuban peso is more than just money. It documents the nation's entire modern history, from U.S. parity to the current economic crisis.